Greetings from our channel again. Although Hollywood has always been full of romantic tales straight out of fairy tales, few romances can compare to the intense passion that exists between Ali McGraw and Steve McQueen. They were a power couple who enthralled the globe. They were the epitome of beauty and defiance. But underneath the glitter and flashing lights was a tearful love tale filled with heartaches and sacrifices at every step. Amidst the blazing whirlwind of Steve McQueen, the king of cool, a guy with a tough exterior but tortured by the deep scars of a traumatic childhood, was Ali McGraw, the beautiful actress who won millions of hearts in Love Story. Hollywood erupted into an uncontrollable craze as their gazes locked on the set of The Getaway. Was this passionate love, however, the start of a nightmare or a very lovely dream? Comment 1 and join us as we reveal the true tale beneath the glitzy exterior. A love engulfed in jealousy, control, and unhealed scars. If you respect Ali McGraw and are interested in her turbulent relationships. After living in the shadows of such a turbulent marriage, would Ali McGraw ever find the light again? And what cost did she incur for this all-consuming passion? The lives and careers of Steve McQueen and Ali McGraw. Born in 1939, Ali McGraw's inner resilience was developed throughout his tumultuous upbringing in New York. She was born into a complex marriage between two creative souls. Her father, a gifted painter plagued by mental illness, often left the family feeling empty and anxious all the time. Despite financial difficulties, her mother, a strong and tenacious lady, worked valiantly to raise two children. Ali's youth was marred by tense confrontations, countless days of financial stress, and the constant spectre of instability. However, Ali was not broken by that turbulent upbringing. Rather, it made her a very ambitious and determined woman. Ali wanted to take over the globe as well as get away from that uncertainty. Her timeless beauty brought her into the fashion world, and she soon became a highly sought-after model. However, Hollywood served as her actual springboard. An important turning point in her career was her performance as Brenda Potemkin in Goodbye Columbus, 1969, which left a lasting effect. But it was her performance as Jenny in Love Story, 1970, that made her a household name. All across the world, people were moved by the picture of Ali McGraw, who was stunning, delicate, and vibrant. She was still that wounded child, however, yearning for the safety and affection she had never experienced behind the bright lights. Then there was the world-respected Steve McQueen, whose early years were equally terrible and gloomy. Steve, who was born in 1930, experienced extreme loneliness and desolation. When Steve was still a baby, his father abandoned the family, leaving him in the custody of a mother who was unable to provide him the care he required. She sent Steve to live with family, but the years of being moved around a lot, between different homes and orphanages, only made him more resilient. McQueen was a rebellious troublemaker by adolescence and ended up to a reform school. McQueen gained survival skills there by learning to trust no one but himself. Steve McQueen discovered a way out of that challenging existence. Racing motorbikes around the streets gave him a sense of freedom and speed that captivated him. Hollywood caught attention because of his unmistakable charm and rebellious personality. McQueen entered the movie business like a force that could not be stopped. His iconic performances in Bullitt, The Magnificent Seven, and The Great Escape elevated him beyond the status of an action star. On the surface, he was a guy who feared nothing. He was the definition of calm, but deep down, he was still the injured youngster who was plagued by the dread of being abandoned. Under the bright lights of Hollywood, two individuals with terrible pasts, Steve McQueen and Ali McGraw, crossed together as two fierce flames with irreparable fissures. It was no accident that they met. A new chapter, full of ferocious desire and eerie gloom, seemed to have been written for them by destiny. When they met, it was a powerful and compelling explosion, but one that was also dangerously combustible since each held unhealed scars and unshakable anxieties. The unfortunate meeting on the Getaway set Destiny brought Ali McGraw and Steve McQueen together on the set of The Getaway in 1972, during the grueling days of production and under the blazing Texas heat. It was the start of an emotional tempest that would permanently change their lives. This was not your typical action movie. Ali McGraw was one of Hollywood's biggest stars at the time. She became the movie's emblem of romance and frail grief because of her iconic performance in Love Story. She was hesitant and anxious as she walked inside the getaway. Her typical delicate leading lady attitude had to give way to a gritty one for the job. The appearance of Steve McQueen, whose reputation for haughtiness, mystique, and unquestionable charm preceded him, was possibly more frightening. The king of cool, Steve McQueen, was a living legend with his piercing blue eyes and carefree demeanor. His wild, unbridled energy and unwillingness to be restrained made him the kind of guy who could enthrall everyone. McQueen was well known for his famous action roles, but he had just as much charm off-screen. He was a complicated, erratic guy who kept everyone at a safe distance, even while his love was burning brilliantly inside of him, because he was carrying profound emotional wounds from a difficult upbringing. It seemed like a slow-motion explosion when they first met on the set of The Getaway. The atmosphere between them became thick with tension and desire as soon as their eyes met. There was no denying Ali and Steve's chemistry. Everyone could see that there was a strong connection that went much beyond just acting. The emotions that burst on television as they played fugitive lovers were not the product of rehearsed scenes, but rather of the real spark that had been kindled between them. Ali was attracted to McQueen because he was a guy who radiated risk and captivating appeal. However, their romance was far from straightforward. Ali's career was greatly influenced by her husband, Robert Evans, a prominent Hollywood producer. Their union was not only a showy contract, rather it was a collaboration based on years of mutual success. Ali had a turbulent background, but Robert's love gave her the security and stability she had never experienced. However, Steve McQueen's arrival tore through everything in its path like a tornado. McQueen provided no security, only a life lived on the brink, tense, exciting, and liable to blow up at any time. Ali and Steve were unable to conceal their love for one another on the Texas movie set. Every sweet move they made off camera and every look they shared was keenly watched. Their connection was evidently more than just an on-screen romance to their co-workers and the whole film team. It was something more hazardous, deeper, and larger. Ali poured herself into this love like a moth to a flame, disregarding the repercussions, in spite of what the public thought. She acknowledged McQueen's seductive charm in her biography, Moving Pictures. I was captivated from the moment Steve walked into my life. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't breathe, as if the air was sucked out of the room whenever he was near. Ali and Steve's romance was wonderful, but it had the potential to destroy everything in its path, much like a raging fire. Trust and safety were not something that Steve McQueen readily provided. He represented a wounded spirit, plagued by unpleasant memories and obsessions from his past. Despite being aware of his risk, his magnetic attraction was too strong for Ali to resist. Far from being a straightforward romance, their love was a storm, wild, powerful, and full of danger that might destroy everything. Ali ultimately made a decision that would change his life. She gave up the comfort and security she enjoyed before leaving Robert Evans to be with Steve McQueen. Hollywood was in a frenzy when word leaked out about their romance. Their relationship became the focus of public attention due to sensational headlines, persistent rumors, and constant public scrutiny. Beneath the headlines, however, was a love tale characterized by peril and mayhem, a path of sacrifice and tragedy from which neither could ever return. Matrimony and harmful offerings. Under the bright lights of the movie theater and the public's awe, Ali McGraw and Steve McQueen exchanged married in July 1973, beginning a marriage that was both charming and dangerous. To the outside world, it seemed to be a happily ever after for two of Hollywood's biggest stars. However, the reality was far harsher behind the joyful grins and public hugs. Ali's marriage to Steve McQueen was a torturous game in which he had to make compromises at every turn. McQueen established stringent guidelines right away. He had Ali sign a prenuptial agreement that would deny her any assets in the event of their divorce. It was an obvious expression of the mistrust and terror McQueen harbored from his severely damaged early years. However, love-obsessed Ali didn't think twice. Because all she could see at that time was the guy she loved so much, she signed the paper without hesitation. However, McQueen's greatest demands were not based on paper. Rather, they took the shape of authority over Ali's life. McQueen was unable to compromise on the stifling limitations he placed on her, which included giving up her successful acting career. The idea of his wife being adored and sought by other men was unbearable to him as a guy who yearned for power and control. In order to become the woman McQueen desired, a stay-at-home wife, a dedicated mother, a woman living in his shadow, Ali, who was once a worldwide symbol of romance due to her performance in Love Story, had to give up her celebrity. This was not your typical envy. McQueen's was almost fanatical. He was always afraid Ali would leave him, that she would succeed and discover independence outside of his grasp. He kept a close eye on her every action and prohibited her from meeting with coworkers or going out in public without his consent. Even while he freely flirted and interacted with other women guilt-free, the idea of her seeing another guy set off his enormous bouts of wrath. Ali bore this double standard in silence, feeling imprisoned in a glittering but completely unfree gilded cage. Ali felt stifled after being a proud and aspirational actress. She had envisioned living a life of her own choice and pursuing her creative endeavors. Rather, she was forced to stay at their Malibu house while attempting to be the wife and mother McQueen desired. She attempted to find pleasure in the little things in life and poured her love into her son, Josh, from her former marriage. However, the loneliness persisted and made her wonder whether these sacrifices were really worthwhile. The manner McQueen injured her was more agonizing than giving up her profession, however. Ali felt as if his abrupt outbursts, emotional abuse, and harsh remarks were like knives piercing his heart. Once, McQueen blew out, questioning her for hours, and made her feel bad about something she hadn't done when she was just having a harmless talk with another guy. Ali felt smaller and smaller under his unrelenting grip, as if she were disappearing and losing herself completely. The irony was that McQueen gave himself every luxury while fighting to keep Ali under control. He freely mixed with attractive ladies and went to crazy parties, never feeling the need to cover up his actions. Steve McQueen lived by his own rules and no one could make him alter. Therefore, he didn't need an explanation or an excuse. Ali was left on her alone, caught up in a whirlwind of erratic feelings, caught between her love for McQueen and her increasingly declining self-esteem. She thought that her love might mend his profoundly damaged spirit, and she still loved him, but she was merely pulled farther into the abyss by that hope. Ali eventually came to the conclusion that no one could be saved by this love. She could no longer lead a life without a purpose, and McQueen could not be cured until he wanted to change. She had lost more from this marriage than she ever imagined, including the years she spent in the shadows, the ambitions she gave up, and the sacrifices she made. However, the worst was still to come. Instead of just objecting, McQueen threatened Ali when she said she wanted to go back to acting and recapture the aspect of herself she had lost. He said he would leave her if Ali went back to Hollywood. Any effort at reconciliation was dealt a fatal blow. Ali at last saw that this love was a destructive power rather than something lovely or redeeming. She realized then that it was time to let go. From beginning to end, their marriage served as a terrible lesson in loss and love. Ali McGraw had given up everything for Steve McQueen because she loved him so much. She eventually came to the realization, however, that one-sided love could never fix the scars that would not heal. The dissolution and the cost. Hollywood was rocked when Ali McGraw and Steve McQueen's supposedly unbreakable marriage eventually fell apart in 1977. Ali, however, saw the split as the demise of a whole universe she had given all to create, not simply the conclusion of a wonderful love tale. The breakdown occurred more like a little fracture that gradually eroded a wall until it could no longer support the weight and fell apart entirely, than like an unexpected storm. Once as dazzling as Hollywood's brightest star, Ali McGraw has faded to a ghost of her former glory. To appease the man she loved more than herself, she had given up her job, her notoriety, and even her identity. But their sacrifices were never acknowledged throughout the years with McQueen. Rather, she was surrounded by envy, control, and unhealing scars. For years, despite McQueen's growing violence and cruelty, Ali did all in her power to keep her marriage together. She remained patient, holding on to the notion that one day he might change, even while he imprisoned her in the cage he had made. However, as McQueen's abuse and control only became worse, Ali McGraw's optimism slowly dwindled. Her declaration that she wanted to go back to acting in order to find the lady she had once loved was the tipping point. McQueen exploded in rage, saying they would get a divorce right now if she went back to work. It was not a mere threat. Rather, it was a ruthless order, a demand Ali could no longer withstand. The only thing left to do was let go after spending her childhood making sacrifices for a love that would never rescue her. For Ali, their divorce was a heartbreaking blow. She was left with nothing but the shattered remnants of a life that had once had so much promise after giving up everything for McQueen. It now seemed like a terrible joke of destiny that she had signed in a daze of love, the prenuptial agreement. Ali left the marriage with nothing, losing not only her belongings, but also her work, reputation, and the pride in her own value that had always been her pride. Deprived of the grandeur, she returned to the world as a forgotten lady. The celebrity position, and most cruelly, the honor that had previously characterized her. However, Ali McGraw had to pay more than just that. She was forced to deal with an unfathomable feeling of failure and crushing loneliness. She had staked everything on this love, and now that it was all falling apart, she was left with a life that was meaningless and full of grief and resentment. Ali fell into a vacuum in the days after her divorce. In addition to losing Steve McQueen, whom she had previously cherished, she had also lost herself. She blamed herself for falling for a poisonous relationship that caused her to lose sight of her own value, and she lived in agony, regret, and suffering. Once the center of attention, Steve McQueen, too didn't find happiness following their breakup. His careless behavior and excessive use of drugs and alcohol exacerbated his already declining health. At the age of 50, McQueen passed away from a cruel kind of cancer in 1980, leaving behind a tragic personal story in addition to a huge film legacy. Ali was devastated and grieved when he learned of his passing. She loved him despite their split and all the pain that characterized their relationship in a manner that only a burned-out heart could comprehend. Any last optimism that he would change and that they would eventually find peace together was dashed with McQueen's death. After the divorce, Ali had a serious problem in their latter years. She battled alcoholism, numbing the ache of life and love with the cloud of booze. But after reaching her lowest point, Ali made the decision that she could no longer allow darkness to rule her life. She started a protracted and challenging path of self-discovery and recovery when she sought assistance at the Betty Ford Clinic. Ali McGraw had been through some of the worst in life, but it was a difficult journey. She was aware that she could go through anything if she could get through loving McQueen. Rebuilding yourself was more important to her rehabilitation than just quitting drinking. Ali eventually discovered how to forgive herself and let go of the errors and poor decisions she had made out of love. After spending so many years giving everything for someone else, she finally learned to love herself. Ali McGraw was no longer the star-eyed girl who would sacrifice everything for love in the end. She came out as a strong, resilient woman who had discovered that nothing is more valuable than her own independence and dignity, and that sometimes the price of love is too great. Ali McGraw had to deal with scars that went far beyond the surface throughout her path to recovery and a new life after the tragic breakdown of her marriage to Steve McQueen. They pierced her soul deeply. She left the marriage a shattered woman, having lost her trust in love, her work, her popularity, and her self-worth. The shards of a once-glory existence were all that were left, but Ali refused to let them define who she was. She had to set off on a road of reinvention, a trip to recover the person she had lost throughout years of control and sacrifice, in order to rescue herself from destruction. Confronting her alcoholism was the first step in Ali McGraw's recovery process. She had used alcohol to ease the pain and fill the vacuum left by McQueen in their turbulent relationship during her worst moments. However, alcohol was just a short-term fix, and Ali knew she needed a long-term fix. She sought assistance at the Betty Ford Clinic, where women like her, who had formerly reached the greatest peaks only to plummet to the lowest depths, battled together to reconstruct their lives in order to climb out of the abyss. There, Ali was only a person attempting to heal the severe emotional scars she had carried for so long, not a movie star. It was not an easy recovery. Most importantly, Ali had to let go of her poisonous love for McQueen, face the anguish she had been ignoring for years, and learn to forgive herself for her past transgressions. She once again found the ability to overcome her addiction in the fortitude and inner fortitude that had seen her through a difficult upbringing. In addition to overcoming her alcoholism, Ali discovered a feeling of inner peace that she had long sought after spending years living under the shadow of a guy she had previously loved deeply. Ali McGraw made the decision that she no longer desired the glaring lights of Hollywood after leaving the Betty Ford Clinic. She wanted a more straightforward, peaceful existence where she could live for herself and not for other people. She left the busy entertainment industry in 1994 to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is a far cry from the fast-paced, glitzy lifestyle of Los Angeles. She was now Ali McGraw, the lady seeking inner peace, rather than Ali McGraw, the movie star. Ali McGraw had a remarkable rebirth in Santa Fe. She started living a new life in the peaceful embrace of this tranquil place, concentrating on the timeless principles she had previously forgotten. By practicing yoga and meditation, she developed an appreciation for the little things in life. Ali found balance and reconnected with her soul via yoga, which became a vital part of her life. In addition to practicing for her own health, she worked with yoga expert Eric Schiffman to produce the Ali McGraw Yoga Mind and Body film, which introduced yoga to millions of Americans. Ali was able to make a significant effect without the glitter and glamour of Hollywood thanks to the film, which swiftly became a phenomenon and popularized Hatha yoga. However, self-care was not the only focus of Ali's new existence. Using her celebrity to spread awareness of animal welfare issues, she became an unwavering supporter of animal rights. Ali participated in a variety of campaigns, from writing the foreword for the book Paw Prints of Katrina, which chronicled animal rescue efforts following Hurricane Katrina, to filming PSAs for PETA. Ali saw animal protection as more than simply a cause. It was a purpose, a means of giving back and atoning for the losses life had robbed her of. In her latter years, Ali McGraw had matured into a strong, independent, and experienced person rather than the young lady who had been blinded by love. She discovered self-love and found happiness in the little things, like painting, gardening, and hanging out with old friends. In 2016, she even got back together with her beloved co-star, Ryan O'Neal, for the play Love Letters, which was a joyful occasion that evoked lovely recollections of a great past. Despite the intense suffering she had gone through, Ali had no remorse about what had transpired. Despite having a difficult background, she never allowed setbacks and heartbreaks to define who she was. Rather, she made use of them to develop into a resilient, peaceful lady. Ali McGraw understood that while love sometimes entails a hefty price, it is crucial to never lose oneself. Even though she had experienced the tremendous storms of fame and love, she eventually achieved inner peace, which neither fame nor wealth could ever provide. Life lessons and legacy. After going through years of upheaval and tragedy, Ali McGraw came out stronger and more resilient than ever. In addition to being a gifted performer, Ali McGraw is recognized for having persevered through and overcome severe agony. Although her marriage to Steve McQueen caused irreversible wounds, it also sparked her own development and rebirth. She learned the painful lesson that love is not always enough to rescue someone from the harsh realities of their history from Steve McQueen, the man she once loved with all her heart. Ali learned from this relationship that sometimes the best way to preserve oneself is to leave, and that no one can give up their identity for love indefinitely without losing it. Beyond her films and her teachings on love and sorrow, Ali McGraw has left a lasting impact. It includes her important contributions to animal welfare and mental health awareness. From publicly talking about her battles with addiction to becoming a healing icon, she utilized her celebrity to raise awareness of the value of mental health. She also contributed to a shift in how society views the benefits of yoga and meditation, highlighting them as means of achieving inner peace as well as physical well-being. More significantly, Ali McGraw became a fervent supporter of animal rights. She used her popularity to raise awareness of animal welfare concerns and dedicated her life to saving abandoned and endangered animals. Ali became a strong voice for animals that were unable to speak for themselves as an Animals Asia ambassador, demonstrating empathy and accountability. Her deeds were more than just a responsibility. They were an essential component of her legacy, which was characterized by commitment and sensitivity. Recovery is the most important lesson Ali McGraw imparts to the world. She demonstrated that it's never too late to transform, recover, and rediscover who you are. Although she made many errors and experienced heartbreak, she never allowed those things to define who she was. Rather, she turned her suffering into motivation to go on and build a more fulfilling life. Ali McGraw shown that resilience is about rising each time, stronger, wiser, and more self-aware, rather than about never falling. Ali McGraw, now in her 80s, has a straightforward, contented, and purposeful life. She paints, meditates, and takes care of rescued pets throughout the day, appreciating each moment with great appreciation. Hollywood's attention is no longer necessary for her to establish her value. Rather, she finds contentment in the little pleasures that come with simplicity. True freedom, freedom from the constraints of the past, freedom from the need to win over others, and freedom to truly love oneself is shown by her new existence. After living, falling in love, tripping, and recovering, Ali has at last found contentment in a life that she can call her own. Do you think that genuine freedom, as shown in Ali McGraw's love story, is in the capacity to love oneself and lead the life one genuinely desires, rather than in celebrity or love? If you share this opinion and feel sympathy for Ali McGraw's plight, please leave a remark with the words, "Yes, Ali McGraw." If you find yourself endorsing Steve McQueen's side of their relationship, please leave a comment with the words, "Yes, Steve McQueen," and let's talk. We appreciate you seeing this poignant and dramatic tale of Steve McQueen and Ali McGraw, Hollywood's power couple. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future films if you like interesting and distinctive tales about the lives of well-known celebrities and prominent figures. I'll see you in the next videos.